Hey everyone, this is our lesson on cell organelles. So this is a long state standard that I have here, but you should be able to summarize the structure and function of the organelles in eukaryotic cells and the ways that these organelles interact with each other to perform specific functions within the cell. So first, let's just talk about cell organelles. This is basically going to be a list explaining what each one is and what it does. So first we have the cell or plasma membrane, which we discussed in the previous lesson and will discuss in the next lesson as well. Remember, it is a phospholipid bilayer, and it is selectively permeable, which means it can regulate what comes in and out of the cell. Next, we have the cytoplasm, which is the jelly-like substance all organelles sit in. So it's like the inside of the cell. If you've ever, I compare this to like if you've ever seen like a Jello mold that has fruit in it, the fruit would be the organelles and the Jello itself would be the cytoplasm. So you can see that little GIF to the side. Eukaryotics, remember, do have a nucleus, so that's the brain of the cell. It directs all of the activities and it contains the DNA that the cell needs to perform certain functions. There is a nuclear envelope, and this is the membrane that surrounds the nucleus. It also has chromatin, which is DNA, RNA, and proteins, and it helps, replicate DNA. It allows for those functions to occur within the cell, especially to divide and reproduce. And then it also houses the chromosomes, which are your condensed rod-shaped chromatins, which are what we look at when we have like sexual reproduction. This is what's being passed from the father and mother to make the offspring. So more organelles that we have a cell wall, and this surrounds the cell membrane. It forms structure and support. And this is not in animal cells. So this is specifically to plant cells. When you see plant cells, you actually will see that they tend to be more rectangular or square, and that's due to the cell wall. Whereas our cells, the shape can be manipulated a little bit, not a ton, based on our ratio we have to keep, but our cells are a little more rounded or rubbery looking. And then we also have ribosomes, which you can see the little GIF here to the side. And these make proteins. Next, we have the endoplasmic reticulum, or the ER. And this is a membrane system that is folded into sacs and tunnels in the cytoplasm. So it looks like this picture over here. You do have a rough and a smooth ER. And the whole point of the ER is to transport proteins and waste within the cell to kind of get them where they need to go or out of the cell. If you have a rough ER, this means it's covered in ribosomes, so rough with ribosomes. And then a smooth one means it does not have any ribosomes or has very, very few. Next, we have the Golgi body or the Golgi apparatus. They are the same thing. And these are also nicknamed Golgi garbage trucks. And that's because of what they do in the body. So they look like a stack of pancakes. It's similar to the ER, except these little sections are not necessarily connected to each other. They are actually different layers, but they are kept together in the cytoplasm. And these package proteins and wastes in vesicles, which are little envelopes, pouches for proteins and waste, and they export them from the cell. So the Golgi body is the post office, right? It's got to mail those things out of the cell. Next, we have the mitochondria, and this is known as the mighty mitochondria. It is the powerhouse of the cell. So this is the one thing that you'll remember all the time. Mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. I did not take a ton of biologies in college, but I could still tell you that phrase. And this is used for cellular respiration, so it actually gives energy to the cell, as you can see here in the little GIF. It has its own DNA, which is important, and it will actually, let me go back, it will take oxygen in, produce water and energy for the cells. Next, we have the lysosomes, and these contain digestive juices. We have the vacuoles, which you see over here in the GIF, and these are just storage sites within the cell that just kind of suck stuff up. The central vacuole has a large internal space where plants will store waste products because plants don't have an easy way to remove those wastes, so they go in the center vacuole. And then you have the centriole, which will help with cell division, which we'll learn about in upcoming units. And this is only in animal cells. And then the last one to look at is chloroplasts. These are specific to plant cells. And we look at chloroplasts with photosynthesis. So we use light, or plants will use light energy in the cell. It'll process through the system and actually make sugar, which is the food for the plants. This is not in heterotrophs, so